to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim! Climb the ladder, kid! Make yourself famous!
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, John Moxley Liarda. And this evening, I am joined by IAN. Yeah, Ian, what's going on?
Let me talk to you. I'm excited for this weekend. Halloween weekend, as not a lot of people know, is my favorite holiday season.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I love this holiday because I'm a big horror movie guy. So been watching a shit ton of that. Been watching a lot of wrestling. Been watching some horror movie and wrestling combined, as we will talk about.
Look at that. I've been watching, I guess, horrors and wrestling combined. I've been watching Shotzi and Scarlett's YouTube series. They've been exploring some things. It's been interesting. But as you can see, if you're watching this live right now, this is fake blood. I just want to put that on the record before YouTube takes us off or something. I don't know. I just want to be precautionary. But I, of course, am John Moxley this evening. And Ian, you're LA Knight.
Yeah, about 5 minutes before this podcast started recording, I was dressed up as Orange Cassidy. And I said, you know what? These glasses kind of look like LA Knights. So switched right on over. And it was an easy transition. It's a little more fun this way.
Yeah, and LA Knight's a little bit more over right now. And as Vogus said, kayfabe is dead. You know, I'm just trying to cover our ass just in case. You know, we already get blocked in Russia for every episode that we pull up, so no Russians will be listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Kind thought you were a big boss man. I could kind of see that.
Big boss man.
In a little bit there. Robbie was first. Want to put that on the record. Robbie Collins stopping by. He said the Mark World Order is in your podcast. I guess you guys are, but you know what? It is what it is. Ian, other than, you know, the exciting wrestling that we've had over the past couple weeks, what have you been up to, dude? You just working the 9 to 5, living the dream over there?
Working the 9 to 5, coming home, like I said, watching those horror movies, going to bed, same thing, on repeat. Not been a lot going on in my life. Just
how does it feel to be a part of the real world?
Here we are.
That's why we do the podcast.
Correct.
Because we enjoy doing it. We like interacting with everybody that tunes in live every week. So shout out to everybody that is live with us right now for episode 167. Don't forget to check out all the great merchandise we have at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Ian, we have no code this week, but what are some of the items they could purchase at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast?
Well, if you've ever seen the little balls on the hats, we have new release now, just ready for the winter season and the fall season. We have the OTM logo on our little beanie hat. I don't know what we made up a name last week, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's got a little fuzzy ball on top, keep you warm during the winter, and just kind of rep the brand. It's for the brand always. And again, all proceeds from any purchase you make, we obviously greatly appreciate it because it goes straight back into the purchasing of this podcast. We have domains we have to buy and keep up with, so it's not all free, but we love doing it.
That's right.
We do it for you guys.
And don't forget, we also have the ugly Christmas OTM sweaters. You could also get it in t-shirt form if you prefer it that way. But with the holiday coming up, we figured we'd throw one of those out there. Everybody's got an ugly Christmas sweater party going on that they're probably going to attend. Ian, I'm sure you got one, right? And Couts, they probably do that.
Yeah, all the time. I do want to say though, it's only $35, I believe, for the sweater. That's very cheap for a sweater, and it's very stylish. It has the OTM logo on it. If you have not seen the design, you go over to Twitter and check out the design before you buy it, or just go onto the website and see it. Available in, I think, men's and women's sizes.
That's right.
Yeah, so if you want to buy it, I've actually bought 2 so far.
Yes, you have.
So, again, spread the cheer. It's holidays coming around the corner, and Christmas parties are around the corner as well. So don't want to be that person without a holiday sweater.
And it might as well be OTM, the best damn wrestling podcast going today. Tell your friends to also check out the Main Event Wrestling Network. We are a part of the Main Event at @mainevent_net on all social media accounts. We just got Scott Beams added to the Main Event staff. He has prior experience writing about the WWE for ESPN. I'm very excited to see what blogs he's going to be cooking up, Ian.
Yeah, from what I could tell, he's very excited, as are we. A great addition. I mean, obviously anybody who joins in, but the fact he has history, and he even tweeted out, he said, you got to scratch that itch. I mean, he went away from it for a little while.
Yeah.
He got something cooking. He wants to talk about something, so be sure to check that out on the new website.
Some would say, let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you.
I love the look, by the way, Ian. Yeah, I would give you a solid 7 out of 10. It's okay, though. You're just not as muscular as LA Knight. You're going to have to beef up a little bit. You'll get there eventually. I believe in you.
Thank you.
I kind of got the Moxley hairstyle going on, which there is not much. Moxley just needs to shave it just like me, brother, because I bleed for the BCC.
Actually, let me ask you, what was the spot that got you into the situation here? What bump did you have to take to bleed?
You know what? I was climbing up the stairs here in my condo complex, and my neighbor down below, she's an older lady, and she didn't like what I was doing outside earlier today, and she just tossed me right off, and I landed straight on my head onto the bottom floor. Yeah.
Wow.
It was serious, but I'm okay. Not a concussion, surprisingly. Just, completely with it. But, Ian, I guess we should probably actually talk about a little bit that's going on this week in wrestling. And the big thing is, you see it in the background, it's spooky season. NXT started Halloween Havoc Night 1 this past Tuesday. Ian, I know you didn't watch it live, but were you able to catch up?
I did. Actually, wait. No, I watched it last night in full. Did not watch it live. I did want to. I planned on doing it, but some plans popped up last second. Could not do it, but I did watch it in full last night. I enjoyed it a lot. As I said before, I didn't get to watch it last week live. Tuesdays are a little weird for me.
Busy boy on Tuesday.
Busy boy on Tuesdays, but did catch up this week. And I'll tell you what, NXT is cooking. They have so much talent there, and they have so much to move from. But last night was a treat for me. I mean, it was last night for me, but Tuesday night, I should say.
Hey, don't spoil the trick or treat segment. You're already giving out treats already.
This is my first personal treat.
It was my treat as well. I really thought NXT was strong this week, and let's talk about the first match that happened. We're not going to talk about everything, but we'll talk about the big things that did happen. And they started off hot with Roxanne Perez and Kiana James in a Devil's Playground match. Now, I don't know much about the Devil personally, Ian, but something tells me that Playground wasn't up to the Devil's standards. I'd say they maybe got that at a Toys R Us for $40.
I will say though, if that's I guess it was the slide, whatever it was that she got power bombed onto. If that was anything stiff, my gosh, she took a bump because she went straight through it. I believe that was
Kiana's the one that went through it.
Yes, she took most of the blunt force trauma, especially when they opened up with the swing to the face. I thought that was a really nice touch. I figured somebody would either be sitting on it and kicking somebody, and no, somebody just took it straight to the face. I will say that was a really hard-hitting match and kind of set the mood for the show, which I thought was a perfect start to the show. It really did get your attention right away and kind of set the standard.
Yeah, and Roxanne sort of started the cosplaying or dressing up in the costume as she came out looking like Freddy Krueger. She was fantastic in this match, but I enjoyed it as well, Ian. I thought Roxanne dominated for the majority of it, as she should, using a lot of those items that were ringside to add a little bit more fun to the match. It wasn't spectacular by any means, but I think this is exactly the match that Roxanne needed to get back on track, because I know you haven't been watching weekly, but she's kind of lost a little bit of steam in NXT since she lost the title.
I will say, I'm glad you pointed that out, because at the beginning of the match, the commentators were treating her as the ultimate babyface, the young girl coming into NXT. The crowd started booing her when she came out. I heard some
They've been doing that a lot recently, Ian. I don't like that crowd.
No, but at the same time, I'll give it to her. And whoever booked that match, she was getting cheered at the end of the match, which is incredible. That's exactly what you want, and I hope it carries over, and it kind of just wasn't just because of that match, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. What's crazy, too, about Roxanne Perez? She's younger than you. She's only 21 years old. Let me talk to you, brother. There is a bright future for Roxanne Perez. So getting the win over Kiana, like I said, probably going to get her back on track. Let's go to the chat real quick. Brett Haskell said it definitely wasn't up to my standards. I don't think he was talking about the match because I don't think he tuned into NXT this week. But Brett did tune into AEW randomly, and he texted me. He goes, "What the hell's Christian still doing on my TV?" And I told him, "You're not going to believe this, but in 2023, Christian might be the biggest heel in wrestling." He goes, "Fuck yourself."
It's true. It's true.
Brett used to watch up until I think CM Punk left the company, and that's when he completely stopped watching wrestling. So it was interesting. He's kind of been poking his head back in. So maybe if CM Punk does come back, which we might touch on later, we'll get Brett Haskell back in the mark. Kine, he said this match was so good. He loved all of it. Could have been a little bit more extreme, but it'll do 8 out of 10 for me. I agree with him. If it is a Devil's Playground match, it probably should be a little bit more extreme, but I think like that'd be nitpicking at that point. It was a good match.
I was going to say, it kind of felt, the only issue I kind of had with the match, it was almost as if they were running from spot to spot, trying to get everything in before the finish of the match. That's kind of what I got from it, but other than that, I loved the spots that they put on. They were very creative. Obviously, we've never seen a lot of that stuff. As far as I know, again, I'm a young wrestling fan. I've never really heard of a playground match with playground equipment. But, I mean, it delivered. Everything was used that you saw at the beginning of the match, so that red herring wasn't a thing. You saw everything get used, even that brick in the purse to end the match.
Yeah, she hit her finishing move, Pop Rocks, on the purse, and that was a nice finish as well. So let's move on here to the debut match of Lexis King, who had a moving throne, it seemed, in his entrance. Ian, what did you think overall of the look and presentation of Lexis King?
If I'm being honest, I need to see more. I know we're gonna get it. There's a lot more to his character than that we've seen so far. He's kind of stated the obvious in the fact that he wants to stray away from his dad's legacy. I mean, I saw a backstage segment, which I wish was on the actual television, of he came backstage and the camera was recording and said, "I won't live up to my dad's legacy, so I'm going to build my own." I love that narrative. That should be more of the narrative they push. But I get it. He's the heel. He's treating his dad, who was obviously incredibly good. I really haven't seen.
Legend. Yeah.
So I get what they're doing, but I think there's something more that they could do just to push him a little further and create more of a star out of him, because I don't even know the guy that he faced, if I'm being completely honest.
Dante Chen, to be completely transparent with everybody, Dante Chen's just been a jobber in NXT. They really haven't invested much time into him. He's been around for a couple years, but as of right now, he hasn't been booked strongly. But, the match itself wasn't thrilling by any means, but usually your first match, your debut match, isn't going to be stellar. It's typically a squash kind of match, but I still think the future is bright for Brian Pillman, Lexis King, whatever you want to call him. A lot of people probably are still going to refer to him as Brian Pillman, but Lexis King went out of his way after the match, Ian. His final words, or it might have been in his entrance, he said, "Brian Pillman is dead. Long live Lexis King." I just love how they're just, pointing out the fact that there was a history, but him in NXT, he's a completely different person.
Back to that with his dad's legacy. I like feeding into it. And again, I also like the fact that he's not relying on it.
Not even using the Pillman name.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which would be such a WWE thing to do. I mean, even,
they didn't do with Braun Breaker, that which surprisingly, they could have made Braun Steiner.
Also, The Rock's, is it daughter or niece?
Yeah, Ava Raine, that's his daughter.
Yes. So, I like what they're doing with it, building new stars. It's very smart.
They should call her the Pebble. I got you. Popped your ass. Robbie said, "Good debut. Excited to see the future." Absolutely, Robbie. Kine said that the match was fire. He's glad it wasn't a squash, and he was actually able to show off his talent. Already a fan of Lexis King, and I don't know if you noticed the finisher at all. Kind of hung his opponent from the middle rope and then did a swirling, I guess, neck breaker of sorts. Looked innovative. I was into it.
It was kind of like the Heat Seeker, MJF's Heat Seeker, and Crossroads combined. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So
yeah,
I like it.
It's a good way of putting it. I don't know what he called it, but It was exactly what Ian described.
Actually, no, it was Booker T goes, I don't even know what that's called. That's the only thing I remember from that match. And I don't know the other commentator's name. He said, go ask him.
I think it's Vic Joseph's the other commentator.
Right.
I think I heard that too because me and Tuck were doing a watch along for the first hour of NXT, and I literally said on the watch along, I was like, I don't even know what to call that move, but it was effective. And then I hear Vic Joseph, I don't even know what to call that, but it was effective. I go, just sign me up now. Warrior Wrestling, I'm here. I got blood. Let's do it. Kind said a draping neck breaker, I think it's called, or something like that. That would make a lot of sense. So. Yeah, good. I would say good overall debut for Lexis King, but let's move on to the tag team titles. And we had a new tag team champion crowned here at NXT Halloween Havoc as Chase U pulled off the upset, defeating the D'Angelo family. Now, I personally didn't see this one coming at all, but I'm glad they put the belts on Chase U because I think Chase U is unique. They're entertaining. And they now have that Thea Hale and JC Jane dynamic to make things a little bit more interesting with their faction. I guess we can call it a faction. But I want to ask you this. Were you surprised to see Chase U pick up the victory here? Because the D'Angelo family just recently won those belts.
Surprise? Well, actually, let me tell you a little. Let me talk to you. So actually, as I was watching the show, and I think I was texting you at that time, and I was talking about which tag teams really intrigued me, which the D'Angelo family, they're so entertaining. I love the Gabagoo. I love everything that they do. And especially Chase U. I like the backstage segments. But besides the point, I actually went onto Wikipedia and tried to do a little research on who's been NXT tag champions.
Yeah.
And actually, fun fact, the first tag team champion in NXT was one part of that was Neville.
Yeah, it was Neville and Corey Graves.
Which is wild.
Dude, when I tell you I'm a day one NXT fan, I literally mean I've watched every single episode of NXT.
That's impressive. But no, I scrolled all the way down to the bottom because I was trying to check on who was as of late on the main roster. Yeah. And as soon as I saw it at the bottom, it said Chase U since 2023. And I'm like, dang it.
Spoiler!
As I was watching the match, too. So they were really quick with it and ruined my night. But so I wasn't surprised. Am I happy with it? Absolutely.
You're a fan of Chase U.
Very entertaining. I just love the backstage segments. And it's the student section, too. They do the typical university chants and keeping the crowd going, which I absolutely love. So I'm excited. But I do want to point out, there were a few times during this match it got a little botchy from just watching. It was a lot of Chase. Chase is his name, correct?
Andre Chase?
Andre Chase. Someone say Andre Chase.
Did somebody say Andre Chase?
No. And there was a few times where it got a little. It seemed as everyone was lost in the match, which it actually was very a telltale for me. It was taken away from the match for me. But overall, I'm excited to see where it goes.
I think I viewed the chaos as a positive. I think that's what the match was kind of intended to be. Just like an all over the place brawl between these two. Because they're both babyface teams. You really don't want heat on either one of these groups. So I think it was intentionally chaotic in a way. Sure, there might have been a few mishaps, but overall, I thought the match itself was really good. And I personally have recently loved the hot tags that Duke Hudson does. Yes. The big MVP Duke. I really think he could be a major player in NXT. And I know you haven't seen much of him, but do you get that same energy from Duke Hudson?
He has the look. He has the height. He has the build. His accent. I love the Australian accent that he has. It's a little witty. I think he could be something if he's treated like it.
Wade Barrett a Jace, may I add?
I don't get that vibe from him. I get him more like playful, but like serious kind of thing. It's kind of like a football player, like a linebacker. You see him across the field, but he starts like making jokes after he just absolutely tackles the shit out of you.
Just a psycho.
That's kind of the vibe I could get. He could have that switch that he turns on at any point.
Robbie said Thea Hale, women's champ soon. Robbie, she is 19 years old. We can pump the brakes with that. She doesn't. We're not there yet. I think eventually Thea Hale could be something, and if you don't know who Thea is, she's the one that's always been in Chase U, the little firecracker that they have. I mean, she's got some upside, but I don't know if soon is the right word for that one, Robbie. Kind goes on to say, I'm a big fan of both these teams, but I'm very happy Chase U won the belts. They built a good story with JC and Thea. See, Kai noticed it. Interesting for the future to see what happens. Maybe Thea and JC win the tag belts. So yeah, I'm not sure if you noticed that they do have a tag team title match next week. That would be pretty interesting to see them win, wouldn't it?
I would kind of like to see them mingle with the titles a little bit. Maybe they lose next week, but create some storyline where they kind of band together as a tag team as much as it JC Jane is with Chase U. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they actually kind of bond a little bit more and actually go after the titles because they're current champions. I mean, not
Chelsea
a huge fan.
and
Chelsea
Piper.
and Piper just it was weird.
Chelsea's doing good stuff, but it kind of feel like it's not Piper's fault because Chelsea's had people injured. Carmella got pregnant, and she had to kind of flop new, partners. But there really hasn't been much to it other than Chelsea being Chelsea, which is still entertaining. But I would be interested to see Thea and JC win those tag belts and bring them down to NXT for a little bit. Kind asks, are we going to discuss who attacked Trick and why it's Mello? Braun was onto something on Tuesday. Mello wants it all for himself. Run back Mello versus Braun. We weren't going to talk about it, Kind, but I actually disagree. I don't think it's Mello. I think that is too on the nose, in front of your face. I think we got a swerve coming, and I think it's by the way of Wes Lee. Wes Lee has history with Carmelo Hayes. I think Wes Lee is going to kind of go to the heel side of things here, and he's going to be revealed as the one to attack Trick. Ian, you like that idea?
I don't hate that idea because I was kind of thinking about that too. It's a lot of people pointing blame at Carmelo, which immediately it's like that's kind of like a red herring. It's not going to be him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain if it's him. Obviously, I think there's great.
Oh, it is him. He is him.
He is him. But yeah, no, I like that backstage segment with Mello and Braun, and I liked what Braun was putting on the table. I like that side of it. It's like, dude, we could work together, and then we could just hold these titles captive, and just kind of hinting at that heel side that we've wanted to see from Carmelo, and even maybe on the main roster, obviously with the Bloodline and what we saw that one week where they threw every single main roster guy on the card.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of ways they could go with it. Maybe surprise us. Maybe just be direct with us. Again, I'm not complaining because I like.
They could be direct, and it could be Carmelo Hayes this entire time. But I kind of want to see something different, just a little bit of a swerve. But overall, going back to the tag team titles, congrats to Chase U. I'm excited to see where they go from here with those belts. But let's move on to this match here, where Blair Davenport defeated Gigi Dolan, who both dressed up for the holiday. Gigi being Beetlejuice, Blair was the kid from it, and I thought
it's Georgie.
Georgie. Hey, Georgie.
Hey, Georgie.
But didn't that make the show much more enjoyable? Like,
it
just
did.
them dressing up in costumes, just the little things in the show.
It did, especially as a horror movie fan. They didn't even know that his name was Georgie, and they didn't even reference what was it Blair that dressed up as Georgie?
Yeah.
They didn't even reference it on commentary, and I'm like, oh, I see it. So I loved it. I that little segment.
I knew his name was Georgie just because Sean, my friend Sean, him. Every time he sees my dog Jordy, he goes, "Hey, Georgie." Hey, Georgie. So I'm like, all right, I guess, yeah. I'll never forget who Georgie is. But going back to this match with Blair and Gigi, I thought it started off a little awkward. I'm not sure if that had to do with adjusting to the lighting because it was a lights out match, but I thought the finish was strong. Blair Davenport seems to be someone that is kind of climbing the ladder in the NXT women's division. What were your kind of thoughts on this one? Because it wasn't the best in my opinion.
I've never been a huge fan of the lights out, kind of like the pitch black match with LA Knight and Bray. I've never been a huge fan of that. It's a cool visual. I'm sure of it, but they usually rely too heavily on it. I did like seeing Blair really dig into the heel side of things, especially at the end of the match. I think there's something to be had with that. I think Blair shows a lot of value, especially if she moved to the main roster. There's not a lot of like dastardly heels that just kind of cutthroat, such as Blair.
Well, shit, look at NXT right now. The biggest heel is probably Tiffany Stratton, and people like her. So Blair really could be that next up and coming heel in NXT.
I mean, she was getting some heat. The crowd hated Blair, like genuinely hated her,
Which is great.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Gigi is not the most likable character on NXT, as far as I could tell. I'm not sure what the build has been with her, if she's an established babyface.
She's kind of just floating right now, honestly.
Which shows even more to Blair. With Blair's character, I mean, she really built into her being the bad guy of that match.
Yeah, Gigi, I love Gigi. I think she's very talented. Obviously, Priscilla Kelly in the Indies, she's accomplished a lot before getting to NXT. But ever since she split up from JC and Toxic Attraction, there really hasn't been anything for Gigi. I think she does shine in these stipulation matches. She has that edgy side to her already, so it makes a lot of sense for her to be in a lot of stipulation matches. But man, there just really needs to be something for her to dive into, to invest time into, because it seems like Gigi Dolan is just floating from feud to feud, and it really is not going anywhere. And I know she's got time. I know she's still young, but I'm worried about Gigi Dolan, Ian.
Yeah, I just, from what I could tell, there's just no direction with where she wants to go. You could correct me. Her tag team partner, who was that?
JC Jane, who now
JC Jane
Chase U.
That heel turn was incredible.
It was.
That was a perfect moment to create a perfect babyface with Gigi. She sold it well. And again, I haven't watched it since. I obviously watched that.
Well, right after that too, Ian, they kind of talked about Gigi's backstory and her, hard times growing up, which is great. You want to relate to these people, but they really haven't done anything since. So it's that start and stop kind of thing with Gigi. It just needs to be a full go. We need to commit,
Right. I do want to point out, before we move on to the main event, I just want to point out it was Lola Vice and Carmen Petrovich, I think her name is.
Yeah.
They are young, but that was an incredible match. I absolutely love that match. Obviously, they were both, I think they were jiu-jitsu, I want to say, or some Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It felt real to me. The kicks, I loved the kicking match between them two. And I genuinely was locked in. Yeah. I think Lola Vice is I genuinely think Lola Vice is going to win the tournament. I don't think there's really any ifs about it.
I said last night I got Kalani Jordan winning it.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll find out.
I was going to say it's one of the two, right?
Right.
But you can't deny the star power that Lola Vice has. You can just feel the energy when she comes out.
She was the MMA fighter that came over, correct?
Correct.
So obviously she knows the fight game. She knows what it takes to be entertaining and how to grow an audience. So that's obviously been incredibly helpful for her. I mean, she kind of shows off her assets to gain a crowd, but
emphasis on ass.
Yes, but hey, if that's how you get your fans, that's how you get your fans. But I really didn't pay attention to that. I paid attention to her in ring, and she's incredible. She is incredible.
The future's bright for her and Carmen. Like Robbie said, he can't wait to see more of Carmen. She looks like she could have a great future, and she definitely has a unique, offensive skill set that not a lot of people have right now in wrestling. Kind said Kalani to win it. I had Kalani from day one. She's the future of WWE, the future of women's wrestling. Kalani is her. I get what he did there at the end there, because I believe Kalani Jordan is actually dating Carmelo Hayes. That's why he's saying Kalani is her. So that's actually a very good comment there, Kind. I got to give you credit for that one. But yeah, Kalani Jordan is a star in the making as well. So let's go to that main event then. The much anticipated matchup between two Irish-born wrestlers. And we had a new NXT Women's champion in this main event by the name of Lyra Valkyria, as she cleanly defeated the man Becky Lynch. Now, Ian, this was a star-making performance. Mm-hmm. Valkyria seemed to genuinely have the number of Becky Lynch, showing how much she has scouted her over the years. She countered Becky Lynch's best shots with precision, and you even had Jake Cargill there ringside for this entire match just to take it to that next level. I tell you what, man, wonderful from start to finish. This, for me, was a match of the year candidate. What were your thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, a lot of great near falls. Even the commentators threw it out. Like, they were throwing their best haymakers at each other, and especially with Becky throwing I forgot what her finish is called.
Manhandle slam.
The manhandle slam, and she kicked out of it. And it just kind of shows there wasn't a lot of built into this. I mean, we saw we saw this match get built on the main card on SmackDown. We saw Valkyria in the crowd, and we heard a little bit of backstory on.
It was on Raw, by the way, just to correct you.
Raw.
Real quick.
Okay,
yeah.
My apologies. But we saw that happen, and again, I wasn't a huge I'm not really looking forward to the match, but I also let's see what happens, kind of. And I think I texted you during this match at the end of it. I mean, credit to Becky. Let's just give credit to her. I have never been a huge Becky Lynch fan, but now I am. She put her over. She put her over to the moon. The future is bright for Valkyria.
And she, I believe, is super young as well. But going off of what you're talking about, Becky Lynch was only NXT Women's Champion for 42 days, and she accomplished so much. Elevating Indy Hartwell, giving her a match, elevating Tegan Nox, and then, of course, Lyra Valkyria. And oh yeah, Tiffany Stratton was made because of Becky Lynch. Roxanne Perez, you could argue, got a little bit of a rub backstage from Becky Lynch in just a little over a month. This is why I shouldn't call them a demotion. It's a lateral movement to NXT of main roster talent is good for business, Ian. You see it working, and it's putting over the young up-and-coming stars.
Yeah, again, I mean, it speaks volumes to the amount of work she's put in. She didn't even really reinvent herself, which I think that speaks volumes. And now you're kind of questioning, where does Becky go from here? I mean, you could throw her back into the main roster slot, and just kind of have her live and figure it out there.
Well, nobody's really. I mean, Rhea Ripley has that 5-way match that could be, the next challenger for Rhea Ripley.
But again, I wouldn't mind seeing Becky stay in NXT and kind of even build more of the roster. Maybe even try to live out through the rest of the year and see what you could do.
Yeah.
You don't even need the title with Becky. I mean, Becky is Becky.
She's the man. I want to correct myself, Kine. I didn't really mean to say that Tiffany was made by Becky, but she was elevated, I think I should say, by Becky Lynch. Because you are right, Kine. She was huge before Becky got there. But you can't deny the fact that Becky took Tiffany to a whole nother level and probably got the best match out of Tiffany Stratton. Kine also said about this match between Lyra and Becky that it was amazing. Lyra was the right person to dethrone her, the young Irish lass, to win the NXT belt. It's unbelievable. I'm so happy for Lyra. Her emotion after winning it was everything. And I even tweeted about that, Ian. I saw that interview of Lyra after winning the title. It's just really cool sometimes to see people live out their dreams. And I mean, she was watching NXT. That's how she started watching wrestling, was NXT with Becky Lynch in it. Just surreal.
I listened to her interview on Busted Open. Again, another week of OTM and another week of me calling out Busted Open. But they had her on the show to hype up this match. I think it was the week prior. And she even said, this is my first ever interview of any kind. I've never done any interview, which is wild. That just kind of shows you.
In the WWE umbrella, I think is what.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Well, she's in WWE. And I don't know how long she's been in WWE in developmental.
I say 3 years.
3 years. 2. That's showing a lot of trust. It's showing a lot on Becky Lynch putting over Lyra.
A clean loss. Yeah. Letting Lyra pin you.
And
not a lot of people
finisher.
Pin her. Yeah.
Exactly.
And kick out. Yeah. Because that's a protected finisher. I mean, speaking of that near fall, that was probably the most shocking one. It is rare for any woman on the main roster to kick out of the manhandle slam. Hell, we even saw Bianca Belair lose to Becky Lynch in 20 seconds at SummerSlam. To that very move, Lyra kicks out. Lyra pins Becky Lynch. She's the new NXT Women's Champion. Would you agree in my sentiment of saying that this is potentially a Match of the Year candidate, or did you think it was just really good?
I thought it was really good. I didn't think there was enough. I mean, when I think of Match of the Year candidate, I don't think of the off the wall matches that would just really shock you on how good it was. It's got to have some build to it. I mean, the storyline was there, obviously, with both from Ireland, but I that doesn't take any credit away from how good the match was. Wasn't on my Match of the Year though.
Hey, that's fair. Everybody's got different tastes and things they like, so we'll see what's next for Lyra Valkyria. So congrats to her for becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. Ian, if you had to give NXT Halloween Havoc Night 1 a letter grade, what grade would you be giving the show?
I'm gonna go an 8.2 out of 10. And I haven't gotten to this point yet. I actually texted you about this point, and you kind of dismissed me respectfully. I don't even need backing from the comment section. I thought Booker T was too much. There were a few matches where it took away from the match, and it made it more about him. Booker T was on crack cocaine during that show. I mean,
he was on some of that Cholula Green.
The Cholula Green comment got posted about 10 times during the show. It got a little too much for me, but that's just me. That's just me. I loved what happened in the ring. It was Booker T that really took it away from me.
Yeah, okay. That's fair, to each their own. I love Booker T.
I do want to say I love Booker T. I love him on commentary. That show was just too much for me, personally.
I could see that complaint. I don't agree with it, but I definitely can see where you're coming from. And Robbie said he agrees with you, to be fair. Ian was a bit too much at times. Robbie gave it an A-. Kine went as high as an A. I don't think I'm going to go into the A territory, but I am going to go to a very high B+. I think this was an 89. I mean, just really good business. A lot of good things coming out of this show that are going to, just take NXT to the next level.
And that's just saying this, too. There were 2 women's matches on this card where we haven't seen a lot of them. It was kind of like rookies fighting each other. That says a lot. That says a lot about what they have talent-wise.
Dude, that just speaks volumes of the machine that is the WWE, the training facility,
Absolutely.
Everything they're doing in NXT. Credit to Shawn Michaels. Just another good show here for NXT. Next week, if you guys are interested, though, Robbie Collins and I will be doing a live watch-along for Night 2 of Halloween Havoc. So, Ian, if you have nothing going on and want to join us, you're more than welcome to join us. But I think we're going to move on over to a segment we did last year. It's Halloween season, so let's do a little bit of trick-or-treating. We asked our listeners to give us a few wrestling takes, and all we're going to do, Ian, is say if it's a trick or a treat. A trick means you don't agree with it. A treat means, yes, 100%, I agree with your take. You understand where I'm coming from, Ian? You going to be able to do this?
Absolutely. Yep, we're good.
Yeah. Kine said Shawn Michaels is the Booker of the Year. Full watch-along or just the first hour? Probably just the first hour because they can't entertain people for 2 hours. And Kine said he'll be there to see Robbie in action. Night 2 season Halloween costume incoming. Oh, ooh. Robbie Collins has a Halloween costume coming, so definitely stay tuned for that. Follow us at the main event _net if you want to check that out. But it's time to go trick-or-treating. Let's start off with our friend Ryan Vogus' take. Ian, I'll let you go first on this one. Trick or treat. Vince McMahon outlives Tony Khan.
With the amount of cocaine that's in Tony Khan's system, I'm going to say that's a treat. Vince McMahon treats his body like a temple. I think Tony Khan is coked up, has the amount of pills that man takes before every single show.
This is all speculation for the record, AEW. We still want media passes. we still want to work with you guys eventually. God damn it, Ian.
Ooh, that doesn't mean I don't want anything that you're taking.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
Just let me do one bomb to get my head straight. I'm going to say that's a treat as well, just because Vince McMahon's never going to die. Vince McMahon will live on forever, brother. And if you guys have any trick-or-treats, we got some time. You can put them in the comments section. Robbie said that Vince McMahon's clone outlives Tony Khan.
It's kind of like Walt Disney, where it's like his head might be living underneath the WWE headquarters or something like that in a glass container.
Oh, yeah. That would be a little creepy. All right, trick or treat, Ian. John Cena should have one more world title run to break the record. This one is from Kine.
It's weird. It's a good question. I obviously, yes. On paper, yes. Because he's one of the GOATs.
You got to say the words.
Sorry. On paper, treat. But trick as in the current
landscape of WWE.
Yeah, in the landscape of the titles in WWE. I don't know if you consider Seth Rollins' title in that picture, or is it the heavyweight title?
I think they're both equal. I think they're both world titles.
So in that case, yes, I think that is a treat.
Okay. Kine, of course, agrees with himself. He said treat. Robbie said treat for this one. He definitely should have one more run. I'm also going to agree with the masses here. I'm going to say a treat. Obviously, the match quality of John Cena since he came back hasn't been, for the most part, good. Most of his matches have just been okay. He's been doing a lot of tag. I would like to see it, and this is just coming from a guy that's a John Cena mark, but I agree with you. Just the current landscape of WWE, I don't see where he fits. I do believe he should be the one to beat Ric Flair's record, and if you're going to do it, you might as well do John Cena versus Randy Orton. Both of them are at 16 world titles. Do it for the record right there and have Ric Flair ringside if he's not working with AEW. How crazy was that, by the way? Ric Flair showing up in AEW.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about AEW tonight. By the way, AEW, incredible show last night. I had low expectations, especially watching NXT first. Incredible. I watched both NXT and AEW last night, and I enjoyed them both. What?
That's possible?
What? I love both
that?
of the shows. What?
Wait, you don't want to make an underhanded comment about either brand?
No, it's kind of weird.
You can't do that.
I don't know.
That's not normal. Robbie said Shotzi should be the one to dethrone Lyra. All right, Robbie, you're about to get kicked out of here.
No.
Robbie gave us a woo, though, for the Nature Boys showing up in AEW. Kind's a trick from Robbie there. Yeah, I'm agreeing with Kind once again. I can't believe I'm saying it multiple times, but Kind's bringing it tonight, I guess. Here we go. Trick or treat for you, Ian. I know you got some thoughts on this.
Yes.
LA Knight will be a one-hit wonder and will fade away to the mid-card after losing to Roman Reigns. Trick or treat?
So, this was one of my talking points. Obviously, I'm dressed up as LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good topic of discussion. There's been a lot of talk, again, with Busted Open. Dave LaGreca has talked about how he could be a flash in the pan, and I think where they've been, they haven't developed his character enough. I mean, obviously he's been extremely entertaining, extremely captivating with the audience. The audience pulls to him, but there's been a lot of people talking about how he takes away from Stone Cold and The Rock and their persona into his own character, which I personally do not care. He could be almost an exact ripoff of The Rock, extremely noticeable. If he's on my television and entertaining, I can completely forget that The Rock even existed. If he's on my television competing for a title, I'm going to enjoy what he does. So I think there's story to tell with LA Knight, even if he loses to Roman Reigns, which
He's
most likely is going to happen.
He's going to.
Hate to burst your bubble, but I really posted this question just to get your thoughts on everything and kind of where you stood on his character.
I'm going to say it's a trick because I don't agree with the take. I don't think he's ruined by a loss to Roman Reigns either. But going to the character, sure, under the catchphrases, the look, and, the Rock-esque, the Stone Cold-esque, movement around the ring, there really isn't much underneath the surface. Character-wise, I know a lot of people have talked about maybe you reference, his long journey to get to the main event of WWE, but I don't think you need to do that quite yet. I think you do it after defeat. He gets a little sympathetic. He loses to Roman Reigns clean. It's like, all right, man, what happens to LA Knight now? But LA Knight gets a little bit more personable, starts opening up to the audience, and that's where you heat him up again. You can easily come out of this situation at Crown Jewel with both men getting over.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I absolutely completely agree. You have LA Knight lose, but he's absolutely desperate by the end of the match, kind of clawing at the title. I think there's ways to go with it to not make LA Knight look lost after a loss. But the thing is, does he need a title to stay hot?
No.
Completely.
No
agree.
way. Yeah.
So
my don't mean everything.
Right. So my question or my statement that I put in there, it was kind of like me throwing something out there, kind of like playing devil's advocate, because I don't agree with that take. I think it's a trick, even though
it's a common take, though. You're right. Yeah. A lot of people are throwing that out there that he could be a one-hit wonder. But, I think he's got too much charisma. He's a safe wrestler, so I don't want to knock on wood. I don't think he's going to get injured in the ring unless, something bad happens. But, LA Knight's going to be fine. So that's a trick for me. Robbie said I don't think he dies down necessarily. I think how hyped he is now won't be the case by next year. I just don't see it dying down anytime soon, Ian. They would really have to fuck up LA Knight.
The only thing I could see is if it died down, it would be him winning the title and never losing. That's the only way it could die down, and he plays the same character.
When he's
that
not
would be
chasing.
the only way of it dying down. Yes, exactly. LA Knight might be that one of those guys where it's like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, where you really love him when he chases a title.
Yeah.
If he wins the title, then what's next?
And a lot of people have that same concern for Cody Rhodes if he inevitably wins that world title. Like, do people start turning on Cody? I don't know. Let's not rush to these hypotheticals. Let's just chill and enjoy things, huh? How's that sound?
I will say, though, if the crowd does turn on Cody Rhodes, again, I'm just saying, Homelander from The Boys, it is a perfect story to tell with Cody Rhodes if you win that title.
Wrong. You're not wrong. So speaking of Cody Rhodes, very fitting, our next one comes from Robbie. He said Cody Rhodes shouldn't be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Trick or treat?
I'm going to have you go first.
That's a trick. That's a trick, dog. That's definitely whoop that trick. Cody Rhodes is the only option to dethrone Roman Reigns. It's not The Rock. It's not LA Knight. It's not Seth Rollins. It's not Sami Zayn. It's not Kevin Owens. It's Cody Rhodes. Whether that's at WrestleMania or maybe they prolong it even more. Because, the WWE could wait to pull the trigger even more. They're not afraid to be patient with this story, people. So don't be surprised if Roman retains. So, yeah, I got to say trick, Ian. What about you?
I'm going to say trick as well. Cody, I mean, you could kind of put some blame on his first go at the title last WrestleMania. He was new to the company still. I mean, he was only, maybe a year in? Not even. No, it was last WrestleMania before that. So, yeah, almost exactly a year in. And he's going after the biggest title off the biggest superstar they've had in a long time. So he slipped. He slipped really quickly. So there's no blame in him losing, and his superstar power has obviously just been risen.
Yeah.
Especially the line that he had with the bloodline over the year. It has to be him. It really does. I mean, they keep saying it. Finish the story. Even he says it. He started saying it. I will finish the story. I haven't forgotten about it. Now, if he does lose, I don't know.
Yeah. Then we're going to have a long conversation the night after WrestleMania, I tell you that. Kind, of course, agrees with Robbie. He said, absolute treat for me. Roman needs 3,000 days minimum before he loses it. I'll tell you what, I'll lose it if Roman gets 3,000 days. Certain things don't need to be that long. I think if he gets to next September, he breaks Hulk Hogan's record, so that would probably be the end-all, be-all right there. Robbie said Cody doesn't deserve it. I disagree. I disagree with that first part of this statement, but then he said one of the family deserves it, not The Rock. I'm giving my hand to Jay and Jimmy. I think Jay might actually be your second best option, but no chance in hell Jimmy Uso is big enough to take down Roman Reigns. Like, saying Cody Rhodes doesn't deserve it is absurd to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's been 7 years, 8 years or so since Cody Rhodes has been in WWE. He reestablished himself in the independent scene. That's all the story is. It's not just his time in WWE. He's referenced it many times. He said the other company, AEW. Exactly. He's been through his hard times, just like his father. He's finishing the story that his father was not able to do.
Yeah, and that's why he deserves it, because it just makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these big families in wrestling history colliding, and you get that rematch, you get that moment at 40. I think that's where it should end. I do agree with Kyan here, though. He said he would give the belt to Solo before Jimmy or Jay. Solo is definitely a guy to keep an eye on, I would say, in a couple years at getting to the main event.
The guy hasn't even said a word, but you know he's a threat. That's when you know you have a character. So
he's incredible.
And he's young, too. He's like 27, 28 maybe.
Let's play the game, Ask Siri.
Oh, every single week.
Hey, Siri, how old is Solo Sikoa?
28. Wait, 8?
30.
Fuck.
Yeah, all right. So he's a little
young.
older. He's my age. He's a 93 guy. He's born in 93, so shout out to Solo. Oh, thanks. I don't feel young. So if you're saying Solo's young, I'm going to say I'm young.
You're bald. You're old.
Thanks, man. We got 3 more here. This one's from Kine. He said MJF wouldn't work in the WWE. Trick or treat.
Recent MJF, yes, it would work. Be a dastardly heel that the people love. Old MJF taking shots at other companies and cursing and saying the worst possible things. Obviously, no. That would not work. Babyface MJF, absolutely. Heel MJF, no. So, trick and treat?
A little bit of both?
A little bit of both?
I think it's a trick for me. I kind of understood where you were coming from, and then you lost me a little bit. I thought you were going to bring up the fact that MJF is kind of working babyface, and he's a little more reserved with his vocabulary and everything. That this MJF right now, I could definitely see in WWE.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
The cowardly, cussing and flicking off. The MJF we saw a year ago, no. So I get what you're saying there with the trick and treat. So for me, it's just a trick. Because I think right now, especially at the start off 2024, if MJF shows up in WWE, it's game over and they'll figure it out. There's no way WWE would fuck up MJF.
No, obviously he showed what talent he has as a babyface, and he really hasn't changed his character. He's just fighting for the people now and doing the same exact thing. And I genuinely think that would work, but a more toned down side of him.
Yeah, I agree. Going back to our previous discussion, Robbie said, well, no, because finishing a story doesn't automatically deserve the belt. He's trying to do something his father couldn't, doesn't mean he deserves it. Not that specifically, but I think he deserves it because he's self-made. He worked his ass off. He left the company. He came back, made himself the biggest babyface in wrestling. That's why he deserves to be world champion, right, Ian?
Yeah, completely agree.
Robbie also said people I'm assuming he meant people like Kevin Owens have been putting in more work over the years to deserve it. Once again, agree to disagree, Robbie.
I don't think so.
So is Cody. Cody's grinding too. Cody was probably grinding more than Kevin Owens.
Owens
it started his own company.
Kevin Owens hasn't changed his character since he's joined WWE. He's just played a heel.
He doesn't really need to.
Side. Exactly. And I don't think I've ever really seen him as a main event style player, except for his little stint with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
good stuff there. It's PG-14, Kine said, so let his freedom promos wouldn't work in WWE right now, but if you change it up a little, then yeah. And I think he obviously would have to change things up a little bit, but it would be an awkward fit at the beginning of it, I think. It would just be take some getting used to seeing MJF in the WWE. But speaking of Kevin Owens, it's like you must see the outline or something, Ian. We got one from Robbie. He said Kevin Owens should be a major world champion come WrestleMania. Trick or treat?
Very much trick. He is in no. He still has the same backing every single time. Everyone knows the whole fight Owens fight. People just want to see him fight and just beat the shit out of somebody. That's only his backing. He just came off a fresh tag team win with Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and it fizzled out really quickly. I don't think in the eyes of the common person in WWE that he should be winning any single title. I don't know how you feel about everything. I'm saying it's trick, though.
I love Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is probably in my fave 5. I think he is very, world champion worthy. But right now, the way Robbie worded it, should be world champion come WrestleMania. We are, 4 or 5 months away? The calendar's not, it doesn't make sense for me for Kevin to be world champion. If it's going to be anybody, Damian Priest, who still has the briefcase, Cody Rhodes, a John Cena, maybe an LA Knight, or a Gunther. I think those are the names that's your world title scene right now. Maybe late next year you can, get the ball rolling with Kevin Owens again. But for now, I think it's a trick. I think it is. So we got 2 more comments here from the boys. Let's go to Robbie. He goes, let me rephrase that. Not world champion, maybe an intercontinental or U.S. title. That, I would say, is a treat. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, treat. Absolutely.
I can definitely see him holding.
I don't think right now, though. If you were to put the title on him, I'd be confused. As of right now, if you were to state that he is the new U.S. champion, well, I mean, obviously without like the actual what's happening with that championship,
Yeah.
I would be confused. I'd be, why? He just joined a new company, or not new company, but new brand, switched over to SmackDown. Doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a good counterpoint from Bogus, though. He said they heated up Shinsuke real quick and people wanted him to win. They could do the same with KO. And
yeah,
he's right. That only took, maybe a month?
Yeah, exactly. But he came back and reinvented himself. It was a new side of Shinsuke. He was more hard-hitting. He was using his own foreign language.
Yeah,
so that's
a good
my
point,
only...
Ian. Good counter. Kind said this is a trick from Robbie. KO shouldn't be a world champ. He's better with a mid-card title at some point and be defending it constantly as he is fight Owens fight.
Correct.
Yeah. Once again, Kind, I agree with you there. So we have one more trick or treat. I added this one last second. Trick or treat, Ian. CM Punk will return to the WWE at Survivor Series.
I don't...
Come on.
You go first.
Come on. No, you go first.
Since you're going.
Wait, hold on. Vogus said KO could just speak Canadian then. Sorry.
You mean French?
Yeah, I think oui.
French. Yeah.
Sorry.
CM Punk returning at Survivor Series. Where does he go? What does he do? Where does he fit into
Seth
anything?
Rollins. I win. What else do you want to see?
I mean, obviously, I want to see him in WWE. I really do.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, but it's just like long term, I don't know what he does. The only thing I could see is him going after Cody, just because of that.
Yeah, that could be
the company.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Trick, but I want to be. I want to be surprised. I really do.
Motherfucker, this is a treat. CM Punk is returning, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm going to Survivor Series. That's the only reason I'm saying it. But all right, let's be real here for a second. There has been a lot of talk, like pointing in the other direction, saying that they're not having conversations. That makes me think they are having conversations. And why else are they expanding the seating arrangement in the Allstate Arena? What else are they building to here? What is big enough where you want as many people as possible that's going to happen at Survivor Series that's bigger than CM Punk returning in his hometown?
I just think that's just them wanting to make more money out of the event. I think that's really all it is. To be bluntly honest.
Dude, I'm going to be right by the entrance ramp. So if CM Punk comes out there, me and Ryan are going to be marking out. Kind said, Trick, WWE doesn't need CM Punk, which I kind of agree with Kind there. Sure, it would make a lot of money and bring them some views, but he's not needed. He doesn't fit anywhere. I'd rather see Braun or Mello simmering on the main roster.
I wouldn't say that, but I don't think they are needed. I don't think anything is needed. There are no missing pieces on the main roster.
Yeah, the WWE doesn't need anyone right now. And I know Will Ospreay's name has been mentioned. I wouldn't say need for Will, but that should be a big one for the WWE.
Yeah, because of the match, that is great wrestling to put on your television. There's no storylines that are on the screen that you want to see fold. You know Will Ospreay.
Everything's good.
That's just dream wrestling with Will Ospreay. I think that is more likely than a CM Punk.
Bogus, a great wordplay once again. Trick, he shows up at the Rumble for a tasty treat. I like it. The Rumble pop is a great pop indeed. Kind said expanding the seating because they already sold out means they got more money and pool more fans. They know they're getting seats bought anyway. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I'm sure not majority of the people are thinking, oh, I'm buying this ticket to see CM Punk. They're just buying a Survivor Series. And they've been slowly building to Survivor Series matches. I don't know if they're doing War Games. They haven't announced that yet, but, it should be a good show regardless. So I think that's enough trick-or-treating. We've had enough candy, haven't we, Ian?
Oh, I'm full. Very
What's
full.
your favorite candy, by the way?
Ooh.
Tuck asked me this yesterday. That's why I'm asking.
See, I break it down because you have like the sweets and then you have the chocolates. Sweets-wise, I'm going banana Laffy Taffy. Chocolates, I'm going Rolos.
What? I did not see that coming. I'm just surprised. Reese's. Reese's are the best.
It's up there.
The
It's up there.
pumpkin one, the egg one.
Yeah.
Easter
The holiday
is
themed Reese's are amazing.
elite.
Absolutely.
Nothing better than a Reese's, but I do enjoy Twix. I think Twix is kind of
Twix
tasty.
are good. Twix are good. Baby
Twix are
Ruth,
solid.
good call out. Or Three
Yeah.
Musketeer, another good one too.
Yeah,
But-
there. Look at that, right on cue. Bogus said the Reese's holiday version eggs.
Hold on.
The best.
Quick shout out, Almond Joy. Don't think you don't have any fans. Love coconut, so.
I do too, but it's not good.
Oh my gosh. End the stream.
It's like your pineapple on pizza take. Bogus said I spent too much money on Rumble tickets, so he's very hopeful. That's why I spent too much money on Survivor Series tickets, so I'm very hopeful for that. But let's get on to the MVM of OTM. We really had two guys battling it out for a majority of the episode. Ryan Bogus came in with some quick-witted comments, but Ian, I don't think I need to go to the discussion here. I think we probably are on the same page. Ladies and gentlemen, and still MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, it is Kine. Ian, what are your thoughts?
I'm just going to say this now. It's the holiday season. It's my favorite holiday, so I'm in a great mood. Kine, congratulations. You had some good comments tonight. You had a lot of comments that weren't outlandishly wild. Keep doing that. Don't say stupid stuff anymore in the comments.
You stupid idiot!
And I'll actually agree with you being MVM. I will say Happy Ian will be back next week. This persona is gone. I will retire
You couldn't cut a
jacket.
promo in LA Knight? Like, come on. You had an opportunity. Nada! That's all you got?
That's all I got. Kine, congratulations.
You should have said that's all I got. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just setting you up for this, and you're failing.
My apologies.
The house is not happy with you right now. Let's just put it that way. So congrats to Kine for retaining his MVM. Bogus said Ian is 57 years old with his candy choices with Rolos.
Rolos are good.
But they are
just
for
caramel
old
and
people.
chocolate. I don't care. It's caramel and chocolate. That's all you need.
Kine has a very nice comment. He said, appreciate it. Good retain. Great stream. Keep up the good work, boys. Loving the podcast. And we love doing it for you guys. So, Ian, any final remarks before we sign off?
As the great Tuck would say, who's not here tonight, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. You can enjoy a lot of different companies. Even Impact is cooking. They just had their
TNA.
Yeah. Now currently TNA. That is huge news. We didn't even talk about. Congrats to all the success that they've been putting on and the content they've been putting out. I hope that the now established TNA can bring it to the mainstream audience. Maybe have their own television instead of having to go on Impact Plus or whatever it's called to stream their shows. I want to see what they are putting on because I wouldn't mind adding another show to the rotation.
I wouldn't either. If it's on Thursdays, we're just going to have to record it, I think, because we're going to be doing our thing over here. But I definitely got to wipe this blood off of my head. I sent a Snapchat to people. They think I'm actually hurt, so I got to go clarify that I'm not. But before we sign off, don't forget to show some love and get yourself some merch at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Ugly Christmas sweaters, hats, T-shirts. We got it all for you, and check out the Main Event Wrestling Network, our podcast network at mainevent_net. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.